It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-400-8009. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and if this is your first time tuning into this program, let me just kind of give you a bit of an idea of what you're in store for. I've been in real estate for 17 years. I've sold real estate here locally. I grew up in a real estate family. Fast forward to today, my team has sold about $1 billion worth of real estate here locally. We have a property management company. We sell land. We kind of do a little bit of everything. Work with investors, private money lending, flips, all that good stuff. But anyways, I take all of these experiences that I've amassed over time and I help share them with you, the consumer, the listener, so that when it comes time for you to buy or sell a home or maybe invest in real estate or maybe even get into the industry, you're an informed consumer. You know what's happening in the real estate market right now. I separate a lot of fact from fiction on this show. And frankly, I peel back the curtain on the industry to give you guys an idea of what it's like to work with a real estate agent. What should you expect? What are the questions that you should ask to prepare yourself for this relationship with your real estate agent? And how can we use all of that to our advantage so that when it comes time for us to buy or sell, we win. We feel good about our transaction. So that's what this show is all about. Now, today, I want to talk about, is now the right time to buy? We're getting a lot of those questions. We're hearing a lot of that from buyers right now. They're just not sure. So I want to go through that process. How can you kind of answer that question for yourself? I'm going to give you some things to think about. I want to talk about the real estate market in general in Charleston right now, help you guys understand what's happening, give you some statistics that I think you might find pretty interesting, just to help provide you with some insight into what's happening in our little corner of the world. And then in the second half of the show, I really want to kind of drill down on what it's like to sell a home in this market and the challenges that you might experience. So we'll go from, preparing the home to sell to marketing, advertising, working with agents, negotiating offers, dealing with challenges and pitfalls, and then, kind of just buttoning everything up. But that's the plan here over the next hour. So if at any point in time, something I say kind of sparks some interest, or you just like to speak with me off air about your interest in buying or selling a home or investing in real estate, or maybe even selling real estate, or maybe you've got a property that you'd like for us to manage for you, then I invite you to give me a call. My direct number, which you can call or text and I'll answer, is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or you can check us out online. Our website is listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or you can send me an email if you just prefer to do things that way. My email address is brian@brianbeattyteam.com. So let's go ahead and get into it. I want to talk first a little bit about what's happening in our local market. And I'm going to start this off with, I'm going to read some stats, but there's going to be a narrative attached to that. And just help you guys understand kind of where we are right now compared to this time last year. Now, of course, we're a little more than halfway through the month of May, so we're not going to have May's numbers. We're looking, of course, at April's numbers. But if you look at just the momentum in our market, it's very tricky for folks looking at it that are not really entrenched in the market, right? That don't really have a close ear to the ground to make sense out of the numbers. I mean, if you look at the numbers for what they are at face value, our closings are down about 26% so far this year. We've only, as of April, we had closed a little over 5,000 homes, but this time last year, we had closed 7,000 homes. So certainly less transactions out there. And part of that is due to the fact that there's just not as many homes out there as we thought there would be at this time of this year. I mean, last year's inventory was very low. I mean, in April of last year, we had a little under 1,700 homes for sale. Now we've got about 2,200. So there's not really been a lot of inventory to come back to the market pre-COVID. If we're comparing our market to what it was like before COVID and before, everybody just decided to move because they could work from anywhere and a lot of those folks that would have moved within, let's say, the next 5 years, maybe even 7 years, were incentivized with really low interest rates. So they said, well, hey, if I don't have to commute to work and, borrowing money is as close to free as we're probably going to see for a very long time, we might as well do it now. So we had this huge collection of people that probably would have moved over the next several years, just decide to move now. So we had a bunch of transactions that got accelerated, which sent the market into overdrive, which sent prices skyrocketing. You guys know the story. But if we, kind of look at today, our new listing inventory is down about 16% from where we were this time last year. We've put about 7,000 homes on the market, but this time last year we had put 8,000 homes on the market. So even though we have more homes for sale, we're not putting as many on the market as we were, and there's just not quite as much demand as there was this time last year. Interest rates have a big part to do in that. The other part to consider is the fact that all these would have been purchasers just bought something last year or the year before. So when we look at the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market versus a balanced market, the question always is, well, when are prices going to start coming down so that I can make sense out of buying a house? Right? We hear that all the time when we talk to folks is, well, we're going to wait. We're going to wait for prices to start to come down. And we'll talk in just a little bit about, how do you answer the question for yourself of, is now the right time to buy? Well, one indicator we look at to tell us whether we're shifting toward a more normal market or not is days on market. How long is it taking for properties to sell? Because the longer things take to sell, the more likely price reductions there will be. There will be more negotiability, and it gives buyers a little more gas in the tank, right? It gives them something they can use to negotiate so they don't have to feel like this. If they want to buy a house, they just have to pay full price. So days on market has basically doubled from this time last year until now. We're sitting at 41 days on the market. Now that's still less than the amount of time it would have taken to sell a home pre-COVID by about 20 days, 25 days. But still, it's taking a little longer for these properties to sell. 41 days on market is still no slouch. I mean, that's still pretty darn good when you consider the wide variety of properties that we have for sale in the Charleston area. That's part of the problem in reading generalized stats like this is that we've got high-end luxury. We've got waterfront, beachfront, historic properties. We have first-time home buyer neighborhoods. We have trailers. We have equestrian property. We have, you name it. We basically have that kind of real estate in the Charleston area. And those come with very different buyers and very different sections of the market. Each market has a sub-market within it or sub-markets within it. But generally speaking, things are taking a little long to sell. You're not getting as much for the property as you were this time last year. This time last year, properties were selling for 100.1% of the asking price. Now they're selling for 96%, 96.2 to be exact. But, again, that's still pretty darn good. The month's supply of inventory has almost doubled, meaning if we didn't put anything else on the market, and we just sold out the existing inventory, this time last year would have taken less than a month to basically be sold out of real estate. Now we're at a month and a half. So there's not a huge jump there. The percentage is a big number, but the actual numbers in terms of correlation it's still very much so a seller's market. So that being said, what these stats, which are provided to us through Charleston Realtors and the Charleston Trident Association of Realtors, don't tell you are just a few more stats. So I want to read off just a few more of those because I think these are interesting and kind of give you an insight into the market. So the first one is that about 26% of homes that have sold over the past 12 months sold for above asking price. We've only had 14.6% of homes drop their price before they sold in our market. So our market is still very strong. The other interesting stat is that 71% of people that sold their home in Charleston stayed local. Now, when you look at where people are moving to, they're leaving Charleston for, and here are the top 5. Number 1 is Asheville. Number 2 is Columbia. Number 3 is Greenville. Number 4 is Knoxville. And number 5 is Myrtle Beach. Now, who's moving here? I'm going to give you the top 10. Number 1 is Washington, D.C. Number 2 is New York. Number 3, Boston. Number 4, Chicago. Number 5, LA. Number 6, Charlotte. Number 7, Seattle. Number 8, Columbus, Ohio. And then San Francisco and San Diego. A lot of people from California. Now, what's interesting, if we kind of take this a little bit further and we think about the population of agents in Charleston, and there's going to be a tie-in here, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But a few years ago, Wallet Hub performed a survey, and they looked at the top 150 most populated cities in the country. And based on that study, Charleston ranked second lowest for sales per agent and was ranked the least attractive city for real estate employment. Now, that was a few years ago. That was back in 2019, and our market has certainly picked up steam in comparison to other areas of the country since then. But the fact remains, there are a lot of real estate agents in Charleston. In fact, we've got about 8,000 of them with a license here in our local Tri-County MLS. Now, in the past 12 months, out of that 8,000 group of licensed agents, about 5,000 of them recorded one sale or more. So we've got 3,000 people with licenses that haven't done anything with it. A little over 7,000 of the 8,000 total agents sold less than a home a month. And I'm just here to tell you, unless they're selling luxury real estate, it's very hard to make a living, provide for yourself, your family, pay your business expenses, pay your taxes, pay your broker, do everything else that you need to do, and have enough money left over at the end of the day to pay your household bills and have some money left in the bank. So a little over 7,000 of 8,000 agents licensed in our MLS are selling less than a home a month. So to be in the top 10% of agents, you have to sell 13 homes a year. To be in the top 800, you have to sell 13 homes a year. Now, renewals for real estate licenses come up at the end of June, the end of next month. And my guess is a large portion of agents will choose not to renew their license. Our market's different now. It's harder to sell real estate. Not everybody can just stick their hand out and expect to get a deal done. You can't just put the sign in the ground and get multiple offers every time. That's just not how it works. That's not a healthy real estate market, nor is it healthy for people to be telling buyers that, hey, if you want it, you just got to pay what they're asking. That is not how this is supposed to work. Like in California, as an example, 1/3 of all agents got out of the business in the past 6 months. So we're approaching a point here locally where, obviously, you heard the stats. People are moving from California to Charleston, right? We are a place people are moving to, not a place people are moving from. So our market, in comparison to other parts of the country, is significantly more healthy, and there's significantly more demand. But closings are down. There are less opportunities out there. A lot less people are incentivized to sell their home or buy a home right now because they've either locked into a really low interest rate, or there's just not a lot out there that they can get excited about, or they just don't want to go and jump into a 6.5-7% interest rate. They're just going to stay where they are and make do. So when we come back, I want to answer this question now that you have some of this information on, is now the right time to buy? A lot of people are asking that question right now, and I want to take you through how I would answer that if I were talking to, say, a friend of mine, right? So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250, WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember, if you want to reach out to me and have a discussion about maybe what your home is worth, or talk about working with us as your real estate agent, whether it's for buying, selling, investing, or managing your property, give me a call. 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.